been oh so long since I last drew for this channel, but I must say, it feels fantastic to pick up the pencil once again. What's up guys, Pencil here, and here we are for the part 2. This feels so weird to do. The part 2 of the chapter 219 of Four Knights of the reaction. So let's not waste more time. Let's hop right back into it. What's up guys? That guy with a pencil here. I know you can't see me right now, but don't worry. I promise I'm here. It's literally just circumstances at the moment. But with it being the case, hopping right back where we left off, the other major character that we got to see pop up in another separate realm is Mael. Oh, well, actually, I'll talk about Mael first, considering it's Mael, but I do, luckily enough, I do have the power of hindsight, aka posting the first review and then being really busy and unable to post the second half of the review. Super meta break here, but I had recorded the full original review, but as you could kind of tell by the intro in the first video, I was trying to use OBS on my laptop, and my computer did not like that, so it chunked a whole 30 minutes of review, a whole 30 minutes of my life I will never get back. But with it being the case, Mael's here. Specifically in the fairy realm. He is guarding the fairy realm with king's kids. Hold on, now that I actually am here, let me actually look up. It is Zaneri, Sevendeadlysins, and what was the other one's name? Zaneri, member of the goddess clan, Jenna and Zaneri. This is Janeri, Lord. Zaneri was the goddess who was also in love with Meliodas from the original series, but of course had an unrequited love. And then Jenna was just, vibing. A really cool character, but also the one seemingly enough responsible for plaguing us with Kath. So just like a certain other angel that's running around here, or another goddess, I have mixed opinions. But of course, Mael is here. Mael's in the fairy realm, and as many people pointed out, and I pointed out in my original review, Mael is in the realm that has a specifically protected barrier around it that seemingly cannot be breached by anybody unless they're given explicit permission by the fairy king or his children. Dog. Like, here's the thing. I love Mael. Let me get this clear and straight for every single Mael fan who's gonna get really mad at me when I start slandering the man. But I love Mael. He's literally one of my favorite characters from the original series. He's pretty much top 3. I'm trying to think, are there actually 3 characters I can name I like more than Mael? Other than like Escanor, who's just more goated than Mael. Mael may flat out be number 2 depending on how you ask me. Or not necessarily how you ask me, but when you ask me, because you can ask me the same question a whole bunch of different ways, but he's probably just going to always sit in top 3. But I will say this, the fact that he is in the realm that has that protective barrier, because he's probably still buns, only feeds my agenda, yet at the same time is really sad for the character. And maybe like, why is this so sad? Are you thinking we're not going to get to see him fight, and this was just a one-off cameo for Nakaba just to raise the eyebrows of original series 7 Sins fans who really want to see more of the character? Yeah, I'm kind of leaning towards that. Well, I definitely could see Nakaba possibly dedicating some time to Zeldris and Gelda fighting in Benwick, especially with Elaine being there as well. I don't know. It feels really weird that in the Demon World arc, we didn't get to see Zeldris fight. Like, why? Like, still all these years later, I still don't fully get that narrative decision. Like, we got to see almost every other character flex at least somewhat in their own respective arc. We saw King and Diane flex in their arc. We saw Meliodas flex in his arc. Bon wasn't even part of his own arc, but we got to see Bon flex. Gother got to flex when they appeared. I still don't know why Zeldris wasn't allowed to flex, but like, I could maybe see Nakaba doing it just because he's setting it up, but at the same time he set up Zeldris before and didn't give him anything. And the thing with Mael is like, I don't even know how strong he is. And not even in the sense of like, oh, what do you mean? You don't know if he's stronger than Primus Almobat? No, he never was and he never will be. But I mean, like, does this Mael have son? And you may be like, Pencilman, I'm not sure if you read the end of the original series, but Escanor had son at the very end. How on earth would Mael have it? Just when he didn't have it in Curse Spell, I don't know. But the reason I say, man, does he have son or not, is because if he doesn't, he's like fodder goddess level. Like how, like don't get me wrong, I do love that he is here. I'm happy to see the character, but unless he had these 18 years of training in the Celestial Realm to suddenly become Archangel tier again, he was kind of fodder. I don't know if you remembered Mael's performance without a Grace and Cursed by Light, but it wasn't very good. So the fact that he's here and flexing is kind of concerning. And you may be like, well, there's definitely no way he got Sun back because, well, Gawain has Sun, right? And honestly, I just don't think so. Dawn operates very similarly to Sunshine in a way with the body mutation, the storage of energy and stuff like that. But I don't know, just based on how we now know Gawain was created, I just don't really see it being the case that she has the continued grace anymore. Like, I genuinely think that grace was either just, like, lost with Escanor, or just is still floating about, or did eventually return to Mael. Maybe not by the time of Cursed by Light. Cursed by Light takes place... Is it 6 months? Is it 6 months after the Battle of the Demon King? I think it's 6 months. Yeah, because Mel and Elizabeth aren't married yet. They get married at the end of that movie in the credits. So, like, I think it's well before the end of the manga. But I think, ultimately, there could be some sort of hope and cope for the Mael fans that he actually gets to do something. But... outside of him being here, man, I just don't know. I really don't think we're going to see much from him. I don't think we're going to see much from Zell. I don't think we're going to see much from Gal. And that's where my whole worry about, like, the current pacing of where the story is going is kind of, like, scaring me. Just a little bit. But still, regardless of my horrific fear, it is nice to see Mael, the Goddess Clan member, react and reconnect to other Goddess Clan members. It's kind of a shame he doesn't even give Jenna a fist bump, who's clearly looking for one. But, hey, it'd be like that when it'd be like that sometimes. Especially considering, I don't think... I'm trying to think, did they have any relationship? I think they had, like, a loose relationship, because remember Jenna and Zaneri had a relationship with Jeliment, the goddess who did love Mael in particular, and that's, like, the goddess from the troll side story that was also Escanor Glaze, because everything in Sevendeadlysins is Escanor Glaze. So I don't actually know if they had any previous connection, but Mael's at least smiling at them, but he does not return the fist bump. But that aside, the one thing I do want to mention that I got completely wrong in the first part of this review, thanks you for everyone for reminding me, yeah, Lance definitely caught bodies, like countless bodies. I just misinterpreted that statement from the first half of the chapter when Guinevere says, hey, you could have wiped out everybody. She means, oh, Lance was still wiping out people in mass. Like, in mass, enough for Goliath to actually be a thing. Because if you think about all the Holy Knights that were actually felled in part 1, it may be like, I'm thinking of, like, Ardbeg, Mortlock, Capadoni. No, Capadoni wasn't real. What was his name? Talisker. There we go, Talisker. And, oh, the Dark Talismans, all 4 of them. So that's 7. Obviously, more than 7 Holy Knights were used to make Goliath. I completely forgot about that. And Goliath was specifically attributed to Lancelot's Lancelot? What on earth was that? Lancelot's exploit. Why can it not be? Lancelot's exploits as the God of War. That was specifically given to Lance as a thing that he did. So, yeah, Lance caught bodies. So any complaints I had are completely gone. He still did go on like a rage-fueled tirade. He didn't just slaughter everybody. Him saying he was sparring with the Holy Knights of Camelot as a distraction was him maybe sugarcoating it for Guinevere. That man was actually catching numerous bodies. So that is the one correction I want to make from the first half of this review. So thank you for everyone who reminded me of that, because I did absolutely and entirely forget. But with that being the case, Mael's appearance here doesn't just raise the question of, like, is he actually going to do anything, and is he actually still fodder goddess level? And I know Mael fans are going to be like, oh, but Pencil Man, he was facing fodder goddesses they didn't want to hurt, and they were all amped by Breath of Bless by the supreme deity. Yeah, there's still fodder goddesses, and Mael is still a bum. But with it being the case, Mael's appearance here definitely raises the question that I kind of had with Zeldris of, like, who's guarding the Celestial Realm? Except unlike with Zeldris, where it seems like the Six Knights of Black maybe left 4 of themselves there, because I only see 2 Six Knights of Black here with Zeldris and Gelda. So maybe there are at least 4 there. I do wonder. It's a question I've been asking, I feel like, since, like, the start of... not really the start of the series, but I'd say definitely once Tristan reappeared, definitely Elizabeth. Do you guys think the Archangels are back? Remember, this was confirmed in, like, a Q&A, so I'm not sure if maybe Nakaba forgot or Nakaba didn't expect us to remember, but the Archangels are still, like, around. The reason the 50% Supreme Deity appears in Cursed by Light and not, like, an 100% Supreme Deity is literally because the graces are still actively in use in just, like, repairing and restoring the Archangels. So y'all think Ludishel, Tarmiel, and Sariel are back? And, like, they're in this Celestial Realm guarding it? I don't know, but it's very interesting that Mael is here. You know, the only character who has a 50-50 shot on having a grace. Meanwhile, the other 3 could be back and definitely have their graces, but I could see those 3 being saved for a reveal later. It really depends on, like, where the narrative is going, though, considering how this chapter ends. So the appearance of Mael and Zeldris wiggles, I said almost tickles, but wiggles your boy's toes in a good way, but also does raise, like, a lot of questions that I'm not sure we're going to get answers to for a long while. But again, a long while definitely is the question. As continuing into the chapter, you're going to see Gawain say, we're all equally as bewildered about being summoned here, you know? Mind filling us in about what's in store for all of us? And naturally, Lance nods and goes, we're about to kick off a war, folks, with a big old cheesy grin. And I will admit, I always forget that Lance has the same, like, fangs that his father does. It's a nice little detail, considering Lance actually looks a lot like his mother. Like, obviously he has the eye shape of his father, which definitely helps, but, like, from his hair texture to the way his hair is drawn, specifically, like, the downward weight of it. I know he has a little bit of spikes, but, like, that seems to be it. He very much is a mama's boy, so essentially he has his father's fangs and his father's eyes. But of course, Lancelot, essentially the Knight of War, the God of War, as it were, is like, yeah, oh, we're gonna put that moniker to good use. And we see Percy, Gawain, and Tristan all be like, like right now, like you do realize Arthur's not really pressing us at this moment. And Tristan actually goes, a war with Camelot? I literally trained for 2 seconds with my dad, bro. I don't think I'm ready for this. And Meliodas explains, once we begin making moves, Arthur will absolutely try to invade our base of operations here in Leonis. So you guys can leave this whole area to this. Wait, I can't read. So you guys can leave this whole area to us sins, okay? So this is what I mean, where I'm saying we're probably approaching. In fact, since unlike in the original live reaction, I was trying to save my computer's raw power as much as possible. Since I am just recording with the regular audio software, I can actually go back and hopefully not make my computer explode. So let me see. Yep, I went back to chapter 129, Invasion. If you go back there, you can see the prophetic invasion that was being referred to here by Meliodas in chapter 219. I do think it is very important that they are like on the same number. It is 80 chapters apart, not like 100 chapters apart, but I do think this is very purposeful. If you'll go back there, you'll realize that everyone is in their current fits, right? Meliodas is fitted up in his current king fit. Bon is fitted up in his current king fit. Diane is in her full stage dress. King is in his fit, and Gother specifically is the good linking point where they're back in their like part 1 fit, which is the same fit they fight Arthur in. So we are quickly approaching that point. And now that we know the current state of Carther, and especially the 4 evils being back in their humanoid states after having their future super monster mutations, the conditions that are met for chapter 200, wait, not 200. Am I dumb? Yeah, no. Chapter 129 have been met technically. And this is gonna be interesting. This is where I say the pacing is actually kind of like, I'm not gonna say worrying me, but I am definitely a little bit more confused. I get why Nakaba is probably like given a solid boot to the plot right now, because when you think about it, we haven't really had a solid boot to the plot for a little bit, with Lancelot reappearing and kind of like setting the stakes right back to zero, and Arthur having no real recourse, or Carther in this case having no real recourse. We kind of did need a little bit of downtime, and we've gotten that downtime with confirming certain ships, having other ships being set up / reinforced, and of course, you know, Lancelot setting up for war / evacuation. But since we are leaping in headfirst into this point, I do wonder how long 4 nights is going to be. Because of course, me and many others are kind of huffing copium about Carther, considering none of us, and I do mean none of us, I literally looked at the poll and think, and I'll be real, when I make my polls, I do go into like a certain kind of zen state where I'm like, knowing my audience, and specifically the portion of my audience which interacts with the polls, who is going to interact and what will they say in terms of like the opinion I'm throwing out there. So when it came to asking y'all if you could take Carther seriously as an antagonist, I was expecting it to be a bit more 50-50, but unfortunately a good 78% of the 263 people who voted on that poll really are on my side, where they can't take the Catman seriously as a major antagonist, and he's kind of all we got right now. And with us building to him seemingly pretty quick, or at least the invasion of him in the possible, you know, evil Lance turn or something along those lines, it's just a little bit concerning, considering I feel like not enough time has passed. Like I mentioned jokingly when reading Tristan's text bubble, Tristan barely had any time to train with Mael. Gawain is still needing to hunt down her mother and get stronger with magic and better understand Dawn. Percy, while clearly having a good control of his light spirit ability, still needs to get much stronger. Lance still doesn't have any wings at all and still doesn't have a sacred treasure, though presumably, once again, referencing chapter 129, it's very likely that the sacred treasure, or at least the spear we see there, will be Lancelot's sacred treasure that Dove's going to be working on right now. But all that being the case, the pacing is actually a little bit 0 to 1,000. I was definitely expecting maybe them to go back to Camelot and explore for Merlin, but I wasn't expecting all the sins to gather so readily to send the knights off to do this, because that's essentially how the chapter ends. Meliodas goes, Lancelot, Tristan, Gawain, Percival, these are the Leonis's orders for the 4 Knights of the Apocalypse. You are to infiltrate Camelot, search for Merlin, and then obtain the key that will shatter the chaos for good. This mission is now hereby underway, and that's where the chapter ends. All 4 knights essentially being given their designated mission. Now, this is where the pacing question comes into like a solid 50-50, and also the timeline stuff I was mentioning in part 1 review. Timeline-wise, I'm definitely confused on how this is going to work out, because like, obviously the future has changed, considering Guinevere did not know what the plan was, but now there is a plan that she now knows about, which you think would be a major change in interaction, but question mark, question mark, question mark. I just don't know whether or not, or how Guinevere's future powers are interacting with that. We do currently have a set up prophecy from Bartra. If you'll remember, it's the prophecy about they will travel to the chaotic land, or I forget if it's the chaotic land, or just an unknown land. In fact, I forget about it so hard. I'm about to scurry right back over there to see if I can find it. What was that? That was chapter like 206? I know they're going to encounter knights, right? Like, they're going to encounter knights. So I think it was chaos? Let me see. Okay, yeah, chapter 207, Homecoming. Take care. There we go. As the 4 calamities journey through the land of... Yeah, it is the land of chaos. As the 4 calamities journey through the land of chaos, at a gloomy precipice, they will cross swords with a fated group of knights hailing from a faraway realm. That is the current prophecy that we have from Bartra, and we also have the hard set prophecy of Guinevere from chapter 129. If both things are true, then I think we still do have like a good chunk of time before Arthur invades, question mark, exclamation point? Like, I don't know. Chapter 200, or yeah, literally, chapter 219 seems to imply that it's happening right now, considering everyone's in their current fits, but right now could still be a while. I just don't know. If we are truly going into a quote-unquote war phase / war arc, I feel like it is a little bit too soon, but at the same time, that could be like a 50-50 shot on securing or annihilate the longevity of 4 Knights. If Kath truly is our final villain, if Cartha truly is our final villain, and Arthur is our final good guy that we're supporting and the Knights are going to serve and all that, then we may be like already reaching the end in maybe another 100 chapters or so, which feels crazy to say. I thought 4 Knights was easily hitting 400 in terms of chapter count. But at the same time, if Carther's vibes are so whack to me, it's so whack to many others, and Nakaba is treating them this way, I genuinely think we could still just be in the early phases. Like, the Camelot stuff could just be like a part, not 1, because we've already had a time skip, but like an early series thing, not necessarily like a Hendrickson, but more so like a 10 Commandments kind of thing, where like Carther is still just building to something greater. And I think that uncertainty is what excites me the most so far in terms of chapter 219. I am uncertain on how long this narrative is going to be. Rather being entirely afraid of that, I am infinitely more excited. So that's it. That's the thing. I didn't have too much chapter left, but I did want to get the rest of my thoughts out, because that was the interesting back chunk. I can't even say back half. Back chunk of the chapter. So I hope you guys enjoyed the back half, the part 2 of this review. I want to thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already seen this video, please leave Mael Baconator in the comment section down below. I don't know why Mael Baconator came to mind. I think I wanted to make a Mael joke, but then Baconator. And I'm not even hungry, bro. I don't know what it is with me. But leave Mael Baconator in the comment section down below. I want to thank you so much for watching. Please leave a like, share, comment, and subscribe. Make sure you hit that little notification bell so you don't miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also, I do have a Patron down below where you can support me for as low as $1 a month. Things like exclusive videos, early content, and more. You can now become a member of the channel for as low as $3 a month to get the same perks and more. Some of those perks include live reactions here at the series I'm to review, ad variations of all my videos, early ad-free access to all my videos, and not just all the videos here on the main channel, but all videos on the second channel that got the reaction link in the description down below. I do 45-minute to 2-hour-long live reactions over there every Saturday at 1 p.m. EST. Whew. And on top of that, sorry, I'm literally, because of the acoustics being so bad in the last review, I'm testing something right now, and I'm currently laying on my stomach in a closet trying to make sure that everything sounds at least a little bit better. So that's why I'm so out of breath and huffing and puffing on this review. My gut is huge. And on top of that, the 20-minute live reaction and all feature live reaction to 4 Knights is one of the perks you get as a Patreon member for as low as $1 a month or $3 a month. And on top of that, you get your name listed at the end of literally every single video when you become a Patreon member. If you're a $3 member or higher, you get your name listed and read out loud at the end of every single video. And on top of that, if you want to drop 5 beats for a short video or 25 beats for a long video, any support is always greatly appreciated. And, oh, That's in the Ko-Fi. Sorry, I'm so messed up. My brain's all over the place. But now I want to thank you so much for watching, and hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is Dagger the Pencil, writing off. I'd like to even thank you to our sketch tier members: Turtle Flame, Riddle 4765, Astro, Glacier XZ, Zera, Brendan Payne, J2MA, Guillaume, Buddha Ura, Enzo, Swift Strike, Superflame Zero, Yuki Ally, Strike a Man, Grim, Ollie, The Boy, Corey Watson, Damon Brown, Magic, CCC, Armando Furen, Dino, Heath Nelson, Hector Gonzalez, Tim Thomas, Kaving, Julian Perez, Akolade Babatunde, Union I, RXN, Nevis97, Logan Guzman, Dead Mean, Koru Deer, Christian Carter, Keon Stewart, Donovan McIntosh, Sino King, Hamza Idrisi, BNA DNA, Edwin Ingbignoba, Cyan, Straw, Cybersage 12, Athenzi Sheer, Antavius Mitchell, Plant Crone, Azo2404, Kriya Panem, Zapro, Weary Exile, Karina Hernandez, Sheesh King, Window Life, Alex Kenny, Victor Jacobs, Todd, Dre, Axis XZ, The Practical One, Aswin Hedi Presetia, JMD KD, Devi Pesiet, London Clapwick, CAET, and Funny Dude. Then I'd like to even thank you to our line art tier patrons: A+A, Kevin Encarnacion, Sean, Dreadzoan, Midnight Lord 21, Alyssa Bujanos, CJ, and Brandon Cathell. Then I'd like to even thank you to our Ink tier members: King RTX, Shrimpo the 4th Shrimp 06, and Zom. Then I'd like to even thank you to our digital art tier members: J Warrior and AZ Void. And give a final thank you to our colored art tier patrons: Walking Munoz and Walking Munoz.